Dave Courvoisier reporting live from the Simi Valley Reagan Presidential Library, where tomorrow Reagan's body and his family will be here for a repose and a ceremony. Back in a minute to tell you more.
Plus, a first-hand witness to history. Hear from a local man who lived and survived the D-Day invasion 60 years ago. And battling back against these sweltering conditions tonight, how you can safely beat the heat.
You're watching Channel 8 Eyewitness News at 6:30. It's not just news, it's Eyewitness News.
He attributed his success to the American people. He always believed better days were ahead. In the coming days, the nation will say goodbye to Ronald Reagan. Good evening, everyone. Glad to have you with us. I'm Brian Allen. Ronald Reagan's journey began in 1911 when he was born in Tampico, Illinois. It ended yesterday when the former president passed away at age 93. Memorials are now being planned in Washington and in California, the president's adopted home state. Channel 8 Eyewitness News is live. Dave Courvoisier joins us from outside the Reagan Presidential Library in Simi Valley, California. Dave.
Beautiful day here, Brian, but a somber occasion. Tomorrow, things will begin happening here. Right now, it's a media collection. A lot of people here from the media who are about the only ones allowed up here by the Presidential Library, which you can see behind me. Also, some military honor guards here practicing protocol for tomorrow. But right now, it is a day of preparation. Tomorrow, things will start happening. Around 11 o'clock, the body of President Ronald Wilson Reagan will arrive with Nancy Reagan and the rest of the family. And then at 12 o'clock, he will begin 30 hours of repose here in the rotunda of the library where the public can come to view. It'll be pretty tight security for the public to come in. No cameras allowed, no cell phones. All children must be with adults, things like that. And then the president will leave on Wednesday and so on and so forth throughout the week. He'll be back here on Friday for the interment. But today we got a chance to go down by the very entrance to the library here and see where the public is being kept at bay so far, and it was a colorful scene. People coming to lay flowers and wreaths and to leave their remembrances for a president they loved very much. And we talked to one firefighter from the local area here who had nice things to say about his remembrances.
He was a great man. He was great for this country. I think he brought a lot of pride back to America at a time when we really needed it, and especially really need it today.
There were other people who had even more tearful things to tell us. We're going to bring you some of that tonight at 11 o'clock. But again, the public not allowed to come up here to the library setting. That will happen tomorrow. They will have 30 hours to come and pay their respects to the body of Ronald Wilson Reagan. Until then, it will be a lot of media set up here, Brian.
All right, Dave Courvoisier reporting live from the Reagan Presidential Library in Simi Valley, California. Dave, thank you. Ronald Reagan is also being remembered today for his great ability to share his ideas and the ease he had when reaching out to people. Remembering Ronald Reagan, the communicator, still to come on Eyewitness News live at 6:30. As the nation remembers President Reagan, the world is honoring the 60th anniversary of the D-Day invasion. Thousands of people were in Normandy, France today for the official ceremonies, including World War II veterans who stormed Omaha Beach on that day 6 decades ago. President Bush says the event cemented the relationship between America and Europe.
America honors all the liberators who fought here in the noblest of causes. And America would do it again for our friends.
French President Jacques Chirac made a point to thank America for taking action and freeing France during the war. Lately, relations between the nations have been strained over a disagreement concerning the American invasion of Iraq. For one Valley man, the D-Day anniversary is a mixture of pride and profound sorrow. Not only did he fight in the battle, he was sent in on the very first wave. Eyewitness News reporter Adrian Arambulo joins us now with his amazing story. Adrian.
Brian, the man we spoke to embodies bravery, and like so many of World War II's veterans, he's modest about his actions. But the truth of the matter is, without his and his fellow soldiers' efforts, the world would have been a much different place.
We ran like hell down the beach.
Lou Papp is living history. He fought in what has been called one of the greatest battles of all time, D-Day.
They say, I don't know if 10,000 were killed. I know there were more than that.
The former Army Staff Sergeant was sent in on the very first wave.
Naturally worried. I was excited. I was kind of anxious to go in. Before that, you could not get inland. Impossible. The road was mined, everything was mined.
But completing the mission came at a very high cost.
There's about 150 men. 50% of those were killed on D-Day.
And while all of today's footage is in black and white, Papp describes it differently.
Parts of it were very, very, very bloody. And where I was, I know that was red.
Just to move several feet forward was difficult, if not disturbing.
To get off the beach, there was no sand to walk on. You had to walk on bodies to get off the beach.
So what gave him and his men the strength to carry on?
You know, I really can't answer that. It was just a matter of necessity. What else can you do? And what else should you do?
In the end, their mission was completed, and eventually the Nazis were defeated, thanks in large part to Lou Papp and the First Army's 1st Division. They truly helped turn the tide of world history.
I'm very, very proud of what I did, what we did, excuse me. And I think back, I get choked up. I can't help that. I lost a lot of good friends.
Lou Papp stood his ground for 36 hours on the beach of Normandy and went on to serve 4 more years in the war. He even had an encounter with General George Patton. Brian?
Quite a life. Adrian Arambulo, thank you. Papp spoke to 3 of the men he served with on D-Day, but with World War II veterans dying at a rate of 1,000 a day, even Papp admits that there aren't many of them left. Let's talk about this sweltering heat that's just had a grip on the Las Vegas Valley for the last couple of days. Justin, can we change this around a little bit?
Well, I think we are going to be in for some relief, Brian, and some much needed relief in that, but we're going to sort of switch with one weather phenomenon and we're going to go right to another one. Let's take a live look outside right now. Beautiful conditions. Well, if you like the triple digits, these are your real-time neighborhood conditions for you. And starting to cool things down, 98 at West Alta, 100 South Durango and Southern Highlands, and 102 for you out in Henderson, 115 in Death Valley at this hour, and 102 in Prim. When we get back together in a few minutes, we're going to talk about how that relief will be coming in the way of wind and what it means for our cooler temperatures. And again, if this heat is still sticking around, a lot of talk about the excessive heat warning, and Brian has more on that right now. Brian?
You bet, Justin. Thank you. Speaking of those excessive heat warnings, the 3rd one in 3 days was issued for Southern Nevada today, and those warnings have caught some people off guard. Channel 8 Eyewitness News is live. Chris Saldaña joining us now from Sunset Park with more on how those who respond to heat-related dangers prepare. Chris.
Brian, triple digits again in Southern Nevada, but the heat didn't actually stop families from making their way to parks like this, and they're still out here battling the sun, but at the same time, they're staying safe. The dog days of summer aren't even here yet. For many, it already feels like it. But this heat didn't stop Stacy Emanuel and her family from getting together.
The heat was a big factor, but we had already spent so much money on the jumper and getting everything out here, so we decided to still do it. But it's not that bad. We thought it was going to be worse.
And it does get worse for those who don't realize the dangers of the heat. John Graff with the American Medical Response says all should be hydrated and cool, but some are more at risk than others.
The infants and the elderly are at the greatest risk for suffering heat emergencies. And one thing that's very important, of course, is to use proper sunscreen. Have sunscreen with you. You want to try to find an area of shade whenever possible.
And it's tips like this that allow gatherings like this to happen when being safe.
We have sunscreen on all the kids, and we're staying hydrated.
Staying hydrated is the easiest thing anyone can do during these 100-degree weather days.
To be well hydrated, you need to drink lots of fluids before any anticipated time in the sun, and try to drink some fluids while you're in the sun.
Your wife or your husband?
Or find other ways to stay safe.
This, see this? And we have ice chests over there that we've just really been wasting good bottled Arrowhead water on, getting cool, staying cool.
And the Emanuel family was one of the many that we saw here this afternoon. They stayed in the shade just as we pretty much have been also all afternoon, staying safe, but at the same time, having fun. Reporting live, Chris Saldaña, Channel 8 Eyewitness News.
All right, Chris, thank you. As we mentioned, this is the 3rd excessive heat warning issued over the last 3 days, and the experts say get used to it. There will likely be many more before summer comes to an end. Crews appear to be getting the upper hand on a wildfire burning up in Lincoln County, about 100 miles north of Las Vegas. So far, that fire has burned about 1,500 acres. It started on Thursday and has burned in trees, sagebrush, and grass. Former President Ronald Reagan developed a reputation as a skilled speaker who could really drive home a message. Next on Eyewitness News, we'll take a look back at that part of Reagan's life and how he earned the title the Great Communicator. Plus, the Golden Boy didn't look very golden last night. Chris Maathuis will have more on Oscar De La Hoya's controversial win coming up in Channel 8 Sports.
You're watching Channel 8 Eyewitness News at 6:30 with Colleen May, neighborhood weather with Justin Cooper, and sports with Chris Maathuis. It's not just news, it's Eyewitness News.
People around the world continue mourning the death of former President Ronald Reagan this weekend. Over his long public life, Reagan was called many things, but one of his most well-known nicknames was the Great Communicator. And as Bruce Morton reports, it was a name that stuck.
They called him the Great Communicator because he was. He said it, and people paid attention.
Government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
Okay, the deficit went up and the problem got bigger, but you remembered what he'd said. Settled an argument over who should speak during 1980 New Hampshire primary debate with one line.
I am paying for this microphone, Mr.
It's originally from an old Spencer Tracy movie.
Don't you shut me off, I'm paying for this broadcast.
But if an actor can't borrow a line, who can? And sometimes the one-liners really matter. Presidents of both parties had worked to contain the Soviet Union, but Ronald Reagan made more progress than most. Arms reduction and a challenge.
Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate. Mr. Gorbachev. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
The man who wrote the speech said the State Department fought that line for 3 weeks, but Reagan used it, and the wall came down during his successor's presidency. A successor he wished well with a line from one of his old movies about a Notre Dame football player named George Gipp.
But George, just one personal request. Go out there and win one for the Gipper.
But what Ronald Reagan communicated best was optimism. He came to office in a country shaken, made cynical by Watergate and the war in Vietnam. He saw instead a shining city on a hill. He used the phrase often and talked about it in his farewell address in 1989.
But in my mind, it was a tall, proud city built on rocks stronger than oceans, windswept, God-blessed, and teeming with people of all kinds living in harmony and peace. A city with free ports that hummed with commerce and creativity. And if there had to be city walls, the walls had doors, and the doors were open to anyone with the will and the heart to get here.
Ronald Reagan on the shining city he dreamed of and worked to build. Bruce Morton, CNN, Washington.
Reagan left office with the highest popularity rating of any retiring president in the history of modern-day public opinion polls. Well, as you heard just a few minutes ago, an excessive heat warning has been in effect for our valley today. So just how long will these toasty temps stick around? Justin Cooper has your updated forecast next.
You're watching Channel 8 Eyewitness News at 6:30. It's not just news, it's Eyewitness News.
A potential traffic tie-up in the making to tell you about tonight, affecting Charleston Boulevard from Main Street to US 95. Starting at 9 tonight, construction crews will be digging up the road to lay new asphalt. The street will reopen tomorrow morning at 6. From then on, crews will work Sunday nights through Friday mornings until at least mid-August. Now, if traffic tie-ups don't get you hot under the collar, our weather sure has last couple days.
Yeah, we've been well above normal, 10 to 15 degrees above normal, depending on what neighborhood you live in. Yeah. And we do have some relief, though. Finally, we're going to get some changing weather. We've had the same weather pattern that's been stuck. I feel like Groundhog Day, the movie, where you're just kind of going and going.
Reliving it again and again.
Again and again. But let's go outside right now and relive some of this beautiful, one of the beautiful golf courses out here. I believe that's up there at TPC Summerlin. I was out on the golf course today, and it was very warm very early, let me tell you that. But not much in the way of any wind, and still, again, the hazy atmosphere from our moderate air quality, a lot of ozone in the atmosphere that hasn't been able to be blown away. But that will change. The winds are coming. Don't worry about that. 104 right now, real-time conditions at Bracken Elementary at North Las Vegas. Next stop, 106 for you in Henderson and Nate Mack Elementary. Look at that, got up to 113 at that weather station, and 94 for you in Searchlight at this hour. Saw a gust of 30 miles an hour, so a little indication of what's to come, what's kind of around the corner. You can see one teens dominated the landscape once again, but a fewer number of them than we saw yesterday, so that was an indication also that things were just a tad bit cooler. 107 there, West Charleston, 109 North Buffalo, and heading out to Death Valley, it was 118 today for you in Indian Springs, 107, 109 in Laughlin, and for you in Pahrump, what do we get to? 100, exactly the century mark. Officially at the airport, topping out at 107, about 11 degrees warmer than normal, and the same thing that we saw yesterday. So again, it's been this very very stagnant pattern. And finally, we're going to see some changes coming as we get toward tomorrow. 523 will be your sunrise for you Monday morning. 7:55 the sunset tonight, and still that moderate air quality reading. Here's that high pressure ridge, very clear here in the desert Southwest, California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, all 4 states pretty much under this influence of high pressure. It will eventually start to move on a little bit eastward as this next low pressure system sort of sinks this down and flattens out the ridge and sort of kicks it out toward the east. But what that'll do was turn up our winds and also usher in some cooler air. 94 Fresno this hour, 105 Phoenix, 92 in Albuquerque. Around the rest of the country, really not seeing too much happening. Here's the low pressure system that eventually will help us out and starting to affect folks in the Pacific Northwest, getting some rain there. Also some rain showers here in the southeast, and even we're watching this pretty significant cell move through eastern Texas. But the rest of the country really not looking too bad at all. Not too much in the way of any travel delays to speak of if you're heading out tomorrow. Bringing it back home. If you're heading up to Mount Charleston tomorrow, things a little bit more in the way of relief with breezy conditions. Look for temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. 107 at the lake, down from our 110s, and those breezes will pick up in the afternoon. So if you're doing any boating, make sure to watch out for those white caps tomorrow. Clear and mild for us overnight. Looking for about 77 for our overnight low, and then for tomorrow, things a little bit cooler and breezy. The breezes will pick up in the afternoon. Watch them out of the southwest at 15 to 25 miles an hour. Now the wind really becomes a factor on Tuesday. We're under a high wind watch for most areas here that you can hear my voice in our forecast area throughout southern Nevada and also southern California. Then by Wednesday and Thursday, look at that cooler air coming in on the backside. 92, 90. Well, it will feel cooler because it'll be nearly 20 degrees cooler than what we've been for the last couple of days. So again, finally a little change before we warm things back up next week.
92 will feel like a big, tall drink of water.
We're getting ready of the triple digits at least for a while. So
okay, so here's the deal on this. De La Hoya fight last night, and people still talking about it the day after and really talking about it.
That's right. When you got De La Hoya, it's a big deal. Oh, he's involved in the fight. And there's nothing for sure in the sport of boxing. De La Hoya has been on the wrong end of some controversial decisions, but last night he gets the nod from the judges. Here's what the Golden Boy has to say, and the guy that feels he got robbed. Plus, terrific shots from the final round of the Memorial. Sports is coming up right here on Channel 8. Well, it was less than 24 hours ago, middleweights Oscar De La Hoya and Bernard Hopkins did what they had to do to set up a mega showdown this September. Hopkins defending his title for an impressive 18th time. Had to beat Robert Allen, and he did in a unanimous decision. Then, Oscar De La Hoya had to beat unknown German Felix Sturm. Golden Boy was fighting as a middleweight for the first time in his career, and it showed. But De La Hoya comes away with a controversial 12th round unanimous decision.
I have to admit I underestimated Felix Sturm. 160 is a great weight division, and so you know, we trained hard and we did our job, and I'm just very happy to have captured title in the 6 weight classes.
I know I win this 2 last rounds and win the whole fight, and the fight was mine. I can say it again.
And again, I mean, he's in another weight class. He tested the waters, and I said now, and I said then, he would not fight Bernard Hopkins the way he fought Felix Sturm, and I guarantee that Floyd Sr. is going to have a different blueprint on how to fight Bernard Hopkins.
All right, as De La Hoya mentioned, he becomes the first fighter to win a belt in 6 different weight divisions. Hey, get ready for some racing on that Monster Mile. It's the track in Dover, Maryland. Officials really did a nice job in this thing, organizing on D-Day anniversary. Lots of patriotic events prior to the race. Veterans watching as they drop the green flag. In fact, it's a war veteran waving the green flag. Later, Michael Waltrip and Dave Blaney get in trouble. This causes a huge pileup. Lots of cars banged up. In fact, it took out some of the leaders. An accident with 17 laps to go takes out Casey Kane. He had the best car. Following a red flag, sprint to the checkered flag. Mark Martin in his Viagra number 6 car edges out Tony Stewart for his first win in 72 races.
And everything went our way today. You know, Casey was really fast, and Pat Tryson made a gutsy call to not change tires, to try to win that race. And I'll just bet you if we had pitted and put tires on, I would have hit the oil and wrecked. I don't know why, but, you know, I'm saying that call won the race for us.
All right, Dale Earnhardt Jr. finished third. Bunch of golfers were within a few strokes of Ernie Els as they teed off in the final round of the Memorial. Els fell back, and he was tied with Tiger Woods and Freddie Couples. In fact, look at Couples making a charge with some big shots like that one, but he finished 4 off the lead. The Big Easy, as he's known, making it look easy. Els has always wanted to win the tourney. His wish comes true. Tiger Woods, the shot of the day. Check it out for par on 14. How about this? Just to save par, the chip shot, but he failed to birdie on his final 11 holes. Tiger finishes at 12 under, 6 off the lead. Els was only challenged by Couples down the stretch, but Freddie couldn't slow down Ernie Els, who birdies his final 2 holes to finish at 18 under and take home $945,000. Cubs and Las Vegas Greg Maddux hosting the Pittsburgh Pirates. Maddux pitches one of those no-hit kind of games. He allowed 1 hit, was brilliant striking out 6, allowing 4 hits and 1 run over 7 innings. Cubs get the offense back in gear. Chicago wins it 4-1. Playing in the thin air, you know if you pitch to him, he's going to send it deep. Barry Bonds makes the Rockies pay the price. That's his 22nd at Coors Field, career number 674. Later in the game, Rockies pitcher Steve Reed gets tossed for arguing a hit batsman call. A.J. Przinsky leaned into the pitch. Reed took umbrage with that call. Oh, not that it mattered. Not that it mattered at all. Giants score a season-high 16 runs, beating the Rockies by 12. 16-4 was your final. And the never coming to Las Vegas Montreal Expos were playing the Reds, and Ken Griffey gives the fans something to talk about. First inning home run, he has .497 career. Later in the third, Griffey again. They're going to change the ticker, and he's gone again. You knew it was gone. Junior now 2 away from that magical 500 career number. Cincinnati rolls past the Expos. 6-5 was your final score.
Wow, Junior Griffey getting it done, huh?
Couple home runs today.
Wow, not bad.
We'll have more on the Lakers and the Pistons tonight at 11.
Huge. All right, yeah, Chris, thanks.
You bet.
Also tonight on Eyewitness News Live at 11, a key attorney in the upcoming Ted Binion murder trial calls it quits. The latest on that tonight. And before he was president, governor, or a movie star, Ronald Reagan worked in broadcasting. We'll take a look at his career as a 1930s radio sportscaster. Those stories and all your late-breaking news coming up tonight on Eyewitness News Live at 11. What can we expect for tonight?
Well, we're going to expect temperatures in the 70s once again. The breezes will be out of the southwest tonight, about 10 to 15 miles an hour. But tomorrow, we're going to watch that wind come in the afternoon. And then Tuesday, a high wind watch.
Hang on to your hat. Good night from Eyewitness News.